All right, guys, let's talk about Zearn Module 1, Lessons 7 and 8. In these lessons, we are going to focus on rounding. We're going to round numbers to the nearest hundred, 10, 1, tenth, hundredth, and thousandth. And we're going to use those rounding skills to estimate problems in word form. So let's take it way back. Let's go back to second and third grade when hopefully you were introduced to this vertical number line. With a vertical number line, let's round the number 62. We're going to figure out what number 62 rounds to. So first of all, we have to decide what two tens is 62 before. So if we would count by tens, we would say 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Well, 62 is going to be between 60 and 70 because we're going to round 62 to the tens place. Then we have to think about what is the midway point? What is halfway between 60 and 70? And we're going to put that on our number line as well. And that number is 65. And when rounding, we have to decide, is 62 in this bottom part of the number line, or is it in the top part of the number line? So if we come here to 60, we can count 61, 62. See, we're not up here yet. So 62 would be about right there on the number line. And so we can see that 62 is closer to 60. So when we round 62, we say that it is about 60. We're going to practice that one more time. Here's that vertical number line. Here is the number 765. So we are going to round 765 to the nearest tenth. The 6 is in the tens place, so we need to know what tens is 765 between. So it is between 760 and 770. See, 60, 70, 80, 90. Now we're going to find the midway point, which is halfway between 760 and 770. That's going to be 765. So 765 falls on the halfway or the midpoint. So in that case, we round up and 765 becomes 770 when we round it to the tens place. So we're going to round 6 and 17 hundredths to the nearest tenth. And when we do that, remember a tenth is this number right here. That 1 is in the tenths place. So first of all, we need to figure out what tenths is 6 and 17 tenths between. And we're going to mark those on our vertical number line. Well, it's between 6 and 1/10 and 6 and 2/10. And we write those in unit form this way: 61 tenths and 62 tenths. Now we need that halfway or midpoint. That is going to be 6 and 15 hundredths. So this is a tenth, 2/10, 15 falls between those. And we write that as 61 tenths, 5 hundredths. So 6 and 17 hundredths is going to fall above 6 and 15 hundredths. Maybe about right there. So let's fill in this chart. Our original number has 6 ones, 1/10, and 7 hundredths. If we turn that into tenths, no ones, we have 61 tenths and 7 hundredths. And if we move that to the hundredths, we have 617 hundredths. So when we round 6 and 17 hundredths to the 10th, it becomes 6 and 2 tenths. I have also linked another video on rounding with a vertical number line for those of you who still need help with rounding. So if you think rounding is going to give you a problem, before you do your Zearn lesson, go look for the extra rounding help video. Then work your Zearn lesson, and if you're still not understanding, then watch the watch this if you need help video. Parents, learning coaches, rounding is hard. It just is. We've been practicing this probably since about second grade, and still it may be difficult for your fifth grader, and that is okay. So this is how you can help at home. We're going to play the midpoint game. You are going to give them two numbers, something like 100 and, 0 and 100. I was thinking ahead. And you're going to say the midpoint between 0 and 100 is, and your child should say 50. You might say, what is the midpoint between 10 and 20? And your student should say 15. Practice this. What is the midpoint between 1 and 2? 1 and 5 tenths. You can even go the midpoint between 0 and 1 tenth. It's going to be 5 hundredths. So play that midpoint game at home, call out two numbers, have your students tell you the midpoint. Another way to help your kid through rounding is to talk about times that you use rounding, like when you're in the grocery store and all you have is $20 to spend. Have them estimate how many grocery items they think they could buy with that $20. You can even talk about how many errands you can run in an hour. That's rounding. It's estimation. It's taking what you know, making a good guess, and have them also explain their thinking. Tell that running in the grocery store may take 20 minutes, but going through the bank line may only take 5. One more game that you can play. Take that deck of cards from last um, overview, we're going to play the rounding game. Again, you're going to take out all the jacks, queens, kings, aces, and jokers. You're going to stack the rest face down. Have your child flip 2, 3, 4, or even more cards, depending on where they are in their rounding practice. And you're going to practice rounding to different place values. So if you round a 5, a 4, 3, and a 6, this could represent the number 5,436. So you can have your child round that to the nearest 10. You could have them round it to the nearest 100. You can even have them round it to the nearest 1,000. Or have them round it to all of them, so that they can see the difference between when you get round to the 10, you get a more precise answer than when you round to something big like the thousandths. All right, a couple of key terms. Estimate. Remember, that's an approximation of a value or quantity. Like we can say that 379 can be estimated to be 400. And round is approximate the value of a given number. 8,261 could round to the nearest 100. It would become 8,300. Practice with this vertical number line. Remember, we put the two tens or the 200s or 2,000ths it's between. We need a midpoint, and then we plot the number, like 1 and 46 hundredths rounded to the nearest tenth would be here. Would be our midpoint. This number would fall about here, so we would round up, and the number would become 1 and 5 tenths. Again, if you need help, you have extra videos to watch, and you can always call me or message me, and I will help you get through math, and I will see you on our next overview.